Okay. Reddit, I need to get this off my chest. My entire life just imploded, and I am still trying to process what the hell just happened. Buckle up for a wild ride of betrayal, gaslighting, and the most surreal day of my life. I am Mark, 35, been married to Sarah for 8 years. They got a seemingly perfect life. Nice suburban home in Denver, both with solid corporate jobs. No kids yet, but planning to start a family soon. I work in tech sales, and my company recently restructured, which means some days I am home earlier than usual. Today was one of those days. I left the office around 2 p.m., feeling pretty good. Just landed a massive client, and I was thinking about surprising Sarah with dinner. I even picked up her favorite takeout from that Thai place she loves. Classic romantic husband move, right? When I got home, something felt off. The house was too quiet. Sarah's car was in the garage, which meant she was home. Normally, she'd be working. She's a marketing executive who's usually glued to her laptop. I called out her name as I walked in, holding the takeout bag. Silence. I went upstairs, and that's when I saw them. 2 items that absolutely did not belong in our bedroom. A men's luxury watch and a bottle of very expensive women's perfume. We're talking high-end stuff. The kind of accessories that scream, I am having an affair, more loudly than any actual confession could. The watch was a Rolex, not mine. Definitely not the style I'd ever wear. Silver band, modern design. Looked like it cost around $10,000, maybe more. Next to it was a half-empty bottle of La Vie Belle by Lancôme, a perfume Sarah always said was too expensive whenever I suggested buying it for her birthday. My heart started racing. Something was very, very wrong. I heard movement downstairs. Sarah was home, and she had no idea I was already in the house. I stood there, frozen, staring at the watch and perfume. My mind was racing faster than a Formula One car. Who the hell were these items from? And why were they casually sitting in our bedroom like they belonged there? I heard Sarah moving around downstairs. The sound of heels on our hardwood floor. The rustle of what seemed like a paper bag. She hadn't noticed me yet. For a moment, I considered my options. Confront her immediately? Gather more evidence? Play it cool? I decided to check our home security system. We installed a pretty sophisticated setup about 6 months ago. Multiple cameras, cloud storage, the works. I pulled out my phone and logged into the app. My hands were shaking slightly as I scrolled through the recent footage. And then I saw it. The camera in our living room had captured everything from the previous afternoon. There he was. A guy the first never seen before. Tall, probably early 40s, well dressed in a tailored suit. He walked in like he owned the place. Sarah greeted him with a kiss. Not a friendly, hey colleague, kiss, but a full-on, passionate makeout session that left zero room for interpretation. They didn't just kiss. They were all over each other, moving towards the couch, hands everywhere. I watched in absolute horror as my wife, the woman I'd been planning to start a family with, was getting intimate with this complete stranger. When they finally came up for air, I could see him saying something. Sarah was laughing, touching his chest. They looked comfortable, too comfortable. This wasn't a one-time thing. This looked like something that had been going on for a while. I must have made some kind of sound, a gasp, or maybe a choke, because suddenly I heard Sarah's footsteps on the stairs. Quick, deliberate. Mark, are you home? Her voice, so casual, so fucking normal. I gripped the Rolex in my hand, my knuckles turning white. The perfume bottle stood there like a silent witness to her betrayal. Game time. Sarah walked into the bedroom, and her entire demeanor changed the moment she saw me. Her perfectly applied makeup, her confident stride, everything froze for a split second. "Oh," she said. "Just, oh. Not, honey, I can explain. Not, this isn't what it looks like. Just, oh." I held up the Rolex. "Whose watch is this?" My voice was eerily calm. The kind of calm that comes right before a hurricane. She recovered quickly. Classic Sarah. Always the PR expert. Always knowing how to spin a narrative. A client, He must have left it here accidentally during a meeting. I started laughing. Not a happy laugh. The kind of bitter, hollow laugh that tells you something seriously wrong. A meeting? I asked. A meeting where you making out on our couch. A meeting where you practically undressing some guy in our living room. Her face changed, from shock to confusion to anger. And then, incredibly, she had the audacity to turn this around on me. Were you spying on me? She snapped. Checking the home cameras? That's a massive invasion of privacy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was trying to make me feel guilty for catching her in the act. The perfume, I said, holding up the Lancome bottle. The one you always said was too expensive for me to buy you? Suddenly you have it? Her eyes darted away. A telltale sign. She was caught, and she knew it. Mark, you being paranoid, she said. But her voice wavered. Just a bit. Enough to tell me everything. I pulled out my phone. Want to see the security footage? I asked quietly. The moment I pulled up the security footage, Sarah's entire strategy changed. Gone was the defensive anger, replaced by a calculated manipulation I'd never seen before. That's Derek, she said coolly, as if introducing a casual acquaintance. He's my project manager. We've been working on a high-stress marketing campaign, and things got complicated. I scrolled through the video. Complicated? Like getting your tongue down his throat is complicated. She didn't even blush. Instead, she crossed her arms and looked me dead in the eye. You never home, she said. The accusation hung in the air like a knife. I was stunned. Excuse me? I said. You never home, she repeated, her voice gaining momentum. I am always alone. You work these crazy tech sales hours. You always traveling, always on calls. Do you have any idea how lonely I've been? The audacity was breathtaking. She was literally trying to blame me for her cheating. So your solution was to cheat? I asked. Derek understands me, she said. He listens. He's present. When was the last time you were truly present in this marriage? I realized then that this wasn't just about sex. This was a calculated destruction of our entire relationship. She was rewriting our entire history, painting herself as the victim. How long? I asked quietly. She hesitated, just for a moment. But in that moment, I knew. 6 months, she finally admitted. 6 months. The words hung in the air like poison. 6 months? I repeated. My voice was so low, so controlled, it scared even me. 6 months you've been sleeping with another man, and your first instinct is to blame me. Sarah didn't miss a beat. You've been emotionally absent for years, she said. This didn't just happen overnight. This happened because you stopped seeing me. I started laughing. Not a happy laugh. The kind of laugh that's closer to a breakdown. Let me get this straight, I said. Instead of talking to me about feeling disconnected, instead of suggesting marriage counseling, you decided to have an affair? And now you trying to make this my fault? She walked over to our dresser, pulled out a folder. I've actually been consulting with a divorce lawyer for the past 3 months, she said casually. Like she was discussing dinner plans. The coldness, the calculation. It was like I was looking at a stranger. Derek wants to get serious, she continued. He says he'll leave his wife. We in love. I knew Derek was married. The hypocrisy was stunning. Does his wife know he's in love with you? I asked. Sarah just smiled. A smile that said everything and nothing. That's when I realized our marriage was truly over. Not just because of the cheating, but because she felt absolutely zero remorse. The next few hours were a blur of legal documents, phone calls, and Sarah moving her things out with a cold, methodical efficiency that made my skin crawl. Her lawyer was a shark. Within 24 hours, she had drawn up separation papers that seemed designed to take me for everything I was worth. Despite her being the one who cheated, she was demanding half of everything, including the house we bought together, my stock options, and a significant chunk of my savings. Irreconcilable differences, her lawyer kept repeating, as if what happened was some mutual falling out and not a calculated betrayal. I started digging, and let me tell you, Reddit, the rabbit hole went deep. Turns out, Derek wasn't just some random work fling. He was a serial cheater with a history of breaking up marriages. His own wife had no idea, yet. I made a decision. I wasn't going to just roll over. I hired a private investigator. Not for revenge, for evidence. Cold, hard, legal evidence that would protect me in the divorce proceedings. What we discovered was beyond what I could have imagined. Derek wasn't just cheating with my wife. He had a pattern. At least 3 other marriages destroyed in the past 5 years. Corporate executive. Always targeting ambitious women in marketing and PR. Always promising the moon. Always leaving a trail of emotional destruction. My pie found text messages, emails, a whole digital trail that painted a very different picture from the true love narrative Sarah had been spinning. The most damning evidence? An email where Derek explicitly discussed how he targets women like Sarah, successful, slightly neglected, ambitious. Women he could manipulate with promises of understanding and passion. I had my ammunition, and I was ready to use it. I didn't just hire a private investigator. I went nuclear. Remember how I mentioned I work in tech sales? Well, turns out my network is way more powerful than Sarah ever realized. One of my closest contacts works in corporate cybersecurity, and when I showed him the evidence I collected, he saw an opportunity to do more than just help a friend. We traced Derek's digital footprint, and holy *C King hell. What we discovered was like something out of a twisted thriller. Derek wasn't just a serial cheater. He was running a sophisticated manipulation scheme. His LinkedIn was a weapon, his corporate connections a hunting ground. He specifically targeted women in marketing, ambitious, overworked, vulnerable. And he had a playbook so calculated it was almost impressive in its sociopathic precision. My cybersecurity buddy managed to access some of Derek's private communications. Not just emails. We talking encrypted messaging apps, hidden cloud drives. The kind of digital trail most people think is untraceable. The evidence was explosive. Derek had a literal spreadsheet tracking his conquests. Names, companies, how long each affair lasted, potential financial, professional benefits. My wife wasn't a lover to him. She was a data point. But here's where it gets even more insane. 2 of the women Derek had previously dated were considering a joint legal action against him. Sexual harassment, corporate manipulation, the works. They just needed someone to go first. And guess who was about to become that someone? I called Sarah, told her I wanted to meet. Not for reconciliation, for war. The conference room at the downtown Hyatt felt like a battlefield. Neutral territory, but charged with enough tension to make the air feel electrically thick. I'd chosen this location strategically. Public enough to prevent an emotional outburst. Professional enough to force Sarah to maintain her carefully constructed persona. When she walked in, it was like watching a performance. Every movement calculated, every gesture precise. Her black theory blazer, her Louboutin heels, the subtle Cartier watch, all carefully selected to project an image of success, of unbreakable composure. But I knew better now. I saw through the performance. 8 years of marriage, 8 years of believing we were building something together. And all that time, she'd been living a double life so convincingly that I never suspected a thing. I spread the documents across the conference table. Glossy printouts, digital forensics reports, text message transcriptions, email chains. Each page was a nail in the coffin of our marriage. But more than that, they were evidence of a systematic betrayal that went far beyond a simple affair. Derek's spreadsheet was the crown jewel. rows and columns detailing his conquests like a corporate sales pipeline. Names, companies, estimated relationship durations, potential professional advantages. My wife wasn't a lover to him. She was a calculated strategic move. "What do you want?" Sarah asked, her voice a perfect blend of professional calm and underlying panic. I looked her dead in the eye. Everything. The terms were simple but devastating. Full financial disclosure, complete transparency about the affair, surrender of her claims to our jointly owned properties, professional reputation destruction for both her and Derek. But I had a nuclear option that would make those terms look like a gentle negotiation. I was prepared to go public, not just with our divorce, but with the entire documented proof of Derek's systematic manipulation of professional women. Corporate HR departments would have a field day. Professional networks would be permanently damaged. In the tech and marketing world, reputation is currency. And I was about to bankrupt them both. Sarah's phone buzzed. Derek's name flashed on the screen. She didn't answer. For the first time since I discovered her betrayal, I saw a crack in her perfect facade. The game was about to get very, very interesting. The next 48 hours were a tornado of legal maneuvers and corporate chaos. My cybersecurity contact, Alex, had been meticulously building our case. What started as a personal betrayal was quickly becoming a systemic exposure of corporate predatory behavior. Derek wasn't just cheating on his wife. He was strategically targeting professional women, using his corporate position as a hunting ground. Within hours of our meeting, the first dominoes began to fall. I had concrete evidence proving Derek had used company resources, work emails, corporate networking events, even company travel, to facilitate his affairs. This wasn't just a personal indiscretion. This was a clear violation of corporate ethics policies. Sarah's company, a mid-sized marketing firm, received an anonymous email. Not from me, but from one of Derek's previous victims. A meticulously documented report detailing his pattern of professional manipulation. The HR departments of both Sarah and Derek's companies started circling like sharks. Internal investigations were launched. Compliance teams were brought in. Derek's wife, who had no idea about his serial cheating, was also contacted by a lawyer who specialized in infidelity cases. She was preparing her own legal strategy, and it was going to be brutal. Sarah called me twice. I didn't answer. Her lawyer sent a desperate settlement proposal. But it was too late. The machine was already in motion, and no amount of legal maneuvering could stop what was coming. The corporate world was about to get a masterclass in consequences. 2 months later, everything had changed. Derek was fired, not just from one job, from his entire industry network. The documented evidence of his systematic manipulation was so comprehensive that no marketing or tech firm would touch him. His professional reputation was radioactive. Sarah's career imploded spectacularly. Her company terminated her employment, with cause a nuclear option that meant she struggled to find comparable work in her field. The industry gossip was ruthless, and in marketing, reputation is everything. The divorce settlement was nothing like she originally planned. Instead of walking away with half my assets, she was lucky to get anything at all. My evidence of her affair, combined with the corporate misconduct documentation, gave my lawyers unprecedented leverage. Her marriage to Derek, also destroyed. His own wife divorced him, taking significant financial assets in the process. The spreadsheet we discovered became key evidence in her settlement. As for me, I used the experience as a turning point. I took a sabbatical, traveled, reconnected with old friends. The betrayal had broken something in me, but it also freed me from a relationship that had been slowly dying for years. The most satisfying part? None of this was revenge. It was simply consequence. Cold, calculated, professional consequence. I learned that sometimes, the best justice isn't dramatic. It's systematic. It's letting people's own actions destroy their carefully constructed lives. Reddit, Sometimes coming home early is the best decision you ever make. The end.